I've been speaking to Jewish community leaders here, and the tension is really palpable after this arson attack on the Adass Israel Synagogue here just behind me. You can see how the synagogue, which is the main area in grey behind me, and also the adjoining community hall, has been gutted. This was after firefighters came down here at 4:10 in the morning here in Ripponlea, which is about 7 k's southeast of Melbourne CBD, to find it fully engulfed in flames. Now, it took 60 firefighters 45 minutes to control this blaze. Luckily, they were able to stop it from going into nearby adjoining properties. But I just spoke to one of the worshippers here, Yumi. Now, he says he was inside the synagogue at the time when 2 masked men came in and were banging on the door like a sledgehammer. He ran away, but then got his hand burnt as he touched the door after coming back to check out what was actually happening. And obviously, police are saying that accelerant was used in this attack, some sort of liquid that had been sprayed around the synagogue. Now, I spoke earlier on to the Council of Australian Jewry President, Daniel Argian, and he says that everybody around the community, not just the Jewish community, needs to condemn this in the strongest possible terms. This is what he had to say.
I've been getting phone calls this morning from the Hindu community, from other people, from good people that are prepared to stand up. And that's my message for this morning to Australia, to the good people of Australia. Don't leave the Jewish community behind.
So that's the Council of Australian Jewry President Daniel Argian talking there, and he said that the Jewish community has been warning for some time that something like this was going to happen. Such was the rise of feeling of anti-Semitism that they were feeling in the community, and some of the hatred that had been directed towards the community as well. I've also been able to speak to the Jewish Community Council of Victoria's CEO, Naomi Levin, and she says that the fear around the community, especially among young Jewish students, is really palpable. This is what she had to say.
Our priority is to make sure this community can live as proud Australians and proud Jewish people. We urge police to do everything they can to find the culprits of this terrible incident, and we'll be supporting the Adass Israel community, those who come and pray at this synagogue every day, to be able to live as safe and proud Jewish Victorians.
And Steph, we've just heard from Victorian Police, in fact, the head of the arson squad in the last little while. What did they have to say?
Yes, that was Chris Murray, Detective Inspector from the Arson and Explosives Squad, and he really wanted to allay the fears of the community, although the press conference that had just happened was sort of in a slight term derailed a little bit when we had some of the Jewish community members actually asking questions of him, saying, what are you actually doing? Because there have been, for example, arson attacks against federal MP Josh Burns, and that they believe not everybody who was responsible is being held to account for that. Now, he said that they were going to step up patrols in this area. They were going to make sure that the Jewish Sabbath was well and truly able to be conducted in peace this weekend. And we also heard as well that he has been looking at CCTV vision, or at least they have been able to retrieve some from the synagogue. Whether or not that has been damaged by fire is another matter, but this is what he had to say.
I'm here in the capacity as the officer in charge of the Arson Explosive Squad to give that reassurance to the community that we will do everything we can to bring these individuals before the courts, and to let the community know that we're going to do our best to make sure that they can return, as they should, to their local synagogues and do what is absolutely Australian, that is, to be able to worship without fear.
So that's Detective Inspector Chris Murray from the Arson Squad there. And he was saying that he wants to hear from anybody who might have been driving around this area, even if you think that the vision might be innocuous, your dash cam footage, maybe from 3 o'clock in the morning, it might prove crucial to be able to piece together exactly who did this. It was asked whether or not there were any arrests made. He said there were some people who were apprehended and asked for questioning, but at this stage, still no arrests. And also, he says that this this investigation is in its very early stages in answer to some criticism from the Jewish community. Now, we've also heard as well from the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, who has condemned this attack in the strongest possible terms. This is what he had to say on ABC Radio.
A terrible morning to awake to this news, which all Australians should unequivocally condemn. This is an outrage. This is clearly an act of anti-Semitism. It's an attack on a place of worship, a synagogue there. So, you know, by definition, this is an act of hate, and it's something that should not occur in Australia or anywhere else for that matter. People must be allowed to conduct their faith as they see fit in a peaceful way.
That's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese speaking on ABC Radio earlier, and it is a truly terrible day for the local Jewish community here at Ripponlea, and the shockwaves are being really felt across the Jewish community here in Melbourne and indeed Australia. We've been speaking to some of the community leaders who've talked about the Torah scrolls that might have been damaged in this fire, and they say that is just at the beating heart of this Jewish community, and if any of those scrolls, if any one of those scrolls is damaged or burnt, then the entire community will fast for one day for that one scroll, and they will also conduct a proper ceremony of a funeral in similar to someone who has died to be able to properly bury that scroll as well. So such is the sentiment and the precious indication of just what might have been lost here at this Adass Israel synagogue.